Again, this is Kevin and Peter. We are discussing the book Is Atheism Dead? We are now at chapter 2. In chapter 2, we discuss where science cannot go, the Big Bang and other singularities. Essentially, what we talk about in this chapter is the steady state theory and its various weaknesses. The last chapter kind of went through the Big Bang, and it's like the physics behind it and how they discovered it and what it means to existence and reality, and how the birth of the universe kind of is supported in the Bible more or less, and it's kind of the basis for a lot of the cosmology, at least. Now we're going to talk about how why the Big Bang, I guess, is important, more or less, to, I guess, religion in general, I guess, would you say? What we discuss in the chapter here?
Not really. I don't think he's really trying to. I think he's just like emphasizing that, here is science catching up to what actually the Judeo-Christianity beliefs has always believed from the time when Jesus came. From even when the Bible was written.
Time and,
yeah. So I don't think he's really like trying to disprove. Well, he's in a way, but he's trying to emphasize that now Christians are in a good position, because before, there was all these scientists, all these wise, these geniuses, they always put out theories that, the Bible is a useless book. It's old. It's, you can't refer to it. It's not relevant right now, But it looks like some scientists are coming up and they're like, wait a minute. This is not the case.
The Big Bang is a big part of that, obviously, because
yes,
without a created universe, without an origin point, I guess a lot of the stuff couldn't be explained.
Yeah,
we'll have to re-examine that one day, because I honestly don't think why it's disproved, like the God theory even matters to steady state theory. I think we went over it last time, maybe we did, but I don't think I've got like a good understanding of why the steady state theory in general would disprove a deity at all. I remember I don't know if it's the opening sentence or not. He goes, "Infinite time is the darling of atheists." I don't think it is.
They use it. They use it. So, So, unless if you want to say that, you can. I think you can believe in a state theory and still believe in a God, because God is an infinite God. Like he transcends time.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
Yes, you could, but in this case, based on what the scientists are looking at, they actually, based on theoretical physics, the theory of relativity, where Einstein thinks that the way these earthly body, like planets and these suspended bodies, the way they behave, it goes against the way gravity actually supposed to behave. So he comes up with this theory, which very many scientists come to prove independently. Sir Arthur Eddington proves it when they actually look into the telescope, when they observe the eclipse. We have in 1922 Alexander Friedman, the Russian physicist. He goes through the equations of Albert Einstein, and he says, looking at what you came up with, it looks like the universe is expanding. He proves that independently. We have the Belgian Catholic priest, the Father George Lemaitre, in 1927, who also goes through the math again and confirms that Einstein's equations are consistent with an expanding universe. And these are people working independently, but also verifies his math and actually, prove it. And then we have Edwin Hubble, who independently is observing the objects. These earthly objects. He's looking through his this famous at the time the largest and more technologically advanced telescope, most powerful telescope. He looks into it, and using the redshift, basically using the redshift by observing these objects, he realizes that they are actually receding because of the light, the red light, that is being emitted from these objects. And he also confirms independently that the universe is expanding. So we have that, and then you go to later on. There is Bob. We are now in this chapter. There's this physicist, the Princeton physicist Bob Dick, who also was thinking that if it's true that the Big Bang happened, that the universe exploded, that there's this event when the universe, the matter exploded and everything began from there.
Big Bang was a derogatory term too. The guy who invented it didn't even. It was like the word Christians. The word Christian is like it was a derogatory term the Romans had made up, or Greeks, I forget, to refer to Christians. Yeah, Christians was like calling them little Christites at the time. I forget if it was Greek or if it was maybe Hebrew. I forget actually. So that's where that one comes from. A lot of them actually come from that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. So
you're labeled by your enemies.
Yeah. So we have this. I was reading about this. He discusses about the Bob Dick, who thinks that if actually this happened, he theorizes that there must have been an immense heat at the time. Okay. And he thinks that there was at least the environment at that moment was around 1 billion degrees, hot. So
it's a pretty specific guess. I'm always wondering on how these specific guesses come about.
Man,
like they show a chalkboard and then everybody's like agreeing and nodding, and this actually happened trillions of years ago, a quadrillion degrees and a gazillion things, and everybody's like, okay, well, obviously. None of this makes any sense. This is all.
I think there is a basis, because here we are like, the book doesn't go into details like what led him to actually, it doesn't show us the math, because then it would be a physics book. I do believe that there is a reason why he comes up with this number, because it actually they narrow it down to like presently, like at the moment they say it was around the heat. Because it dissipated, like it exploded, but it's still trapped within the limits of the universe, and they say it's around 2.7 degrees Kelvin. Well, I don't know the math. I don't know how they come up with that. I don't know how they measure that. But the proof they came to prove this. There's a lot of things that were actually there's a few people that were actually looking into this problem. If you read about the two guys that were who I can't remember.
Overby?
Yeah. The guys that were working at the labs in Holmdel, New Jersey. They were students. No. These were independent. I think Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are the guys who are also. What were they doing? They were mysterious coming from the antenna. Yeah, there's something else they're doing. They're kind of a different research, not not really affiliated with this, but there was just that noise that was in the background that they constantly, could not get rid of, and basically to end this problem, the satellite, the NASA's CORP satellite, when they took.
Doesn't it sound like they found something that they couldn't explain and then crafted it into their theory? They do this a lot. They find a new thing and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, of course, this explains my theory and this is how it explains it, even if it's even if it seemingly should be like proving the exact opposite. I'm not saying it does here, but
even if what you're saying was true, even if what you're saying is true, well, this is only one thing. We do have other evidence that you can't refute. Let's get rid of this heat that was trapped that they think came from the event. So let's get rid of that. But still, what was interesting though? Like for me, I don't know. Do you want to say something?
No, I'd love to hear it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really liked the quote from Overbay when he was quoting Alan Sandage. Did you read that quote? There are many quotes, but there's one where that I think is very like, man,
can I guess it? Can I guess it?
Which one is it?
That he's willing to side with God. That's the one I highlighted. I don't know.
Let me read the whole thing. It's a big quote, actually. It says, to think the universe happened only once, that makes it even more mysterious, in a sense. What happened before the first microsecond is outside the realm of science. But it is more mysterious than noting the tremendous complexity of the chemical balance of the human body. You catch yourself, and why is it the white corpses know exactly where to go to close the wound? That's a miracle. And I don't believe that's due to the progressive selection of the fittest. He's talking about the evolutionists, like people who think that, okay, we actually survive because of natural selection and all that. But actually, what he's talking about has nothing to do with natural selection. And then he's like, it's just to find a mechanism. I don't know what I'm saying now. I don't know what the next sentence is. I don't mean that points to the existence of God. Whatever that means, Newton's laws are God, in a sense. But I find it all so rational and so amazingly beautiful and so mysterious. Dude, this is the guy who took over after Hubble's death. This is the guy who took over the telescope and was using this telescope for this was in the 70s, so this is like past like 30 years. This is a very experienced physicist, okay, saying this. But what I like about the thing I like here, like two things, the singularity, where he says what happened before the first microsecond is outside the realm of science. So what I think, what this makes me think is like, okay, we have physicists, we have like people who are defying the existence of God, and they are postulating and they are coming out of this. But the thing that physics itself depends on is the existence of the universe. Now, the universe, including us, including the human beings, including the mind, is independent. Like it exists. Like physics does not birth the universe. No. Physics comes after the universe has already existed. Now, we don't control the existence, like how it comes into the existence. Now, don't you think that's worth thinking about when you are actually defying? Because, go ahead. I think it looks like you have something to say.
No, I like that. The way you put it, it's just that I don't know. Like he's that guy that took over after Hubble. He's like everybody. He's moved by the immensity of the universe. And it seems like he either was religious or he became religious. I think he was recently converted or something like that. It doesn't really matter. But, he discovered in himself this new religiosity by seeing this huge, huge universe. So it's like he just put it in a phraseology he understands, like that he knows how to express. I don't think like in the same way, just because he can, see this sublime thing. I see the same sublime thing, and I can even kind of write it poetically like he did. I can't write it that nice, obviously, but I can explain it differently. I don't think
no, but he's not. He's well. This is what he comes up, but you can sense in the way he's expressing it that he's also like he's still processing this. Like he's not. He's what is the word? He uses the word. It's beautiful and so mysterious. So he doesn't.
But he doesn't treat it mysterious. I mean, he does view it as sublime, but I don't think mysterious, because the whole chapter is riddled with words like, and this is not just Sandage, it's the whole chapter. Words like forcing everyone to grow up, about the Big Bang Theory, or here's another one. It was undeniable, and like the Big Bang, it was undeniable, shown as incontroversial proof that it happened. It's just it's too certain. Science is not perfect, and it never can be. So why would they rely on such shoddy foundation to try to prove God? Don't even bring science into it. Physics doesn't belong there.
So what's the alternative, though?
Nothing. The fact that they're asking science, they're like, see, science can't prove the supernatural. It's like, that's exactly right. According to science, according to physics, according to chemistry, there is no supernatural. There's no supernatural element in the whole universe. Everything can be explained by something. We just can't, because we have these little mushy little brains. We're tiny little monkey people. But we if we had a big enough brain, you could understand enough of the universe. There's nothing that's outside.
I do you believe that at least among the creatures that walk this planet Earth, we are superior because of the mind that we have? Look at what they yes, I think you believe that, right? Well,
at least at this point, like on Earth, of the animals we know, we're the smartest ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the biggest ratio per brain or something, right? What Plato said?
I think it is worth even if we can't answer the question of where the universe came from, it is worth thinking about. It is worth trying, trying, but also considering history, considering all the material that we're given. Well, there's another one. Did you read? There's another one. This is by. There's another quote at the end of this chapter. Is it? No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the end of this.
At the very end.
At the very end. Did you read that one?
Yeah, the last line is just insufferable. I'm sorry. I'm going to read it out loud in a second. I'm going to bring it up. I remember highlighting it and being pissed off when I read it the first time. He goes, he has the scale mounting on the said, but after the last comma, he goes, he has greeted this person that discovered this newfound scientist, this new age person that's discovered finally with physics. He's greeted by a band of theologians that have been sitting there for centuries. I swear to God, like, I looked at this and I just went, oh, okay. Yeah. And I know that's not the author, but he selected it and he put it at the very end of the chapter as like an exclamation point.
I've had very many religious people use this, but it's well. I think it does summarize what we're talking about really well. So, if I may ask, what is your line of thinking? How would you, if all this we're reading, if you don't like it, but I don't know if you, what's your take on it?
So far, there's other chapters I liked. These ones I think are very shoddy foundation. This is a bad argument for a religious person to make to begin with. I mean, do you really think that in the how many billions of years, right? What is that? Just a wasted canvas? You have this universe. It was completely unpopulated until an amalgamation of one solar system and one tiny little corner of a galactic arm of a Milky Way of a tiny little forget it. No, we're either in a universe populated by millions and millions and trillions of other different life forms, or we're alone and it makes absolutely no sense, and that's worse.
Wait, so what you're saying, if we're alone, it doesn't make sense? If we're
absolutely
alone?
not. How inept. I mean, if science is right, which I doubt, the where they point at 6 billion, the 50 trillion, and whatever they come up with, it's got to be wrong. Science is imperfect, but the point is that, like, we only came about, what, like maybe 150,000 years ago, where we're smart enough to, like, coax fire and keep it alive and have tribes. I don't know, maybe, like, let's say 500 million years ago or something. I forget exactly. But when we were no longer, like, really relying, when we were building our own shelters, so let's say, and actually civilizing ourselves and stuff, that's maybe 6, 10,000, 15,000 years ago. What happened before that? The dinosaurs come up, they get killed off. They didn't have religion. What was the point of that? Don't you see how weak that argument is when you think about it? Like, how
what's the point
there's
of
a quadrillion years happen, and then this little sliver of time happens, and Monkey Man wears pants, and we get a little big brain, and all of a sudden we're theorizing about the universe. But all that time before that,
are you posing a question about the reason for existing, or the reason for? I don't understand exactly where.
I'm just saying the first 2 chapters really that explain how the Big Bang is supported, or the Bible is supported in the recent physics that have been discovered about the universe, about the origin of everything. It's not a smart thing to base your, I guess, proof that God exists or that atheism is bullshit. You can prove atheism is bullshit easily.
Why?
You can also prove that.
Why?
Because just existentialism and phenomenology, or whatever you call, like, where the fact that you can, like, the fact that you can think that means that you exist. What was that French guy? Descartes?
Jean-Paul Sartre?
No, smarter than that, jackass. Descartes, René Descartes.
René Descartes. Oh, I think.
Yeah, another religious guy. He was a Catholic, probably, back in the day. But like, he was really smart about that, I found. He was like, you can't really prove anything, right? He was I don't know if he was ever the religious mind, where I think he may have phrased it this way, actually, to be honest, where he's like, if a devil came to you, how could a devil or a demon, let's say, convince you, or how do you convince somebody? I forget exactly the way he phrased it. It was a really good metaphor involving a devil trying to convince you of something. And he's like, the only thing you can actually convince yourself of is that you exist. Because as long as you're existing, you're thinking, or vice versa.
Yeah, but I think he came to the conclusion that he knows that he exists because he's thinking. Like, at least he can, in the act of thinking, he can, like.
The point, though, is that the fact that you can conceive of yourself, or even anything, really, is that you're alive, you're real. So being itself is a counterpoint to really the actual, like, strong atheist position that there's no God whatsoever, no meaning to the universe. Whereas some people, like Voltaire, would say, like, I don't know if Voltaire would actually say this exact thing, but the God to him was the structure of the universe. The brain of the universe is like their God. They had like a natural philosophy kind of view of God.
Like atheism? Like everything?
A lot like that, yeah. Very, very, very similar. I forget exactly what would be the differences.
That breaks down at some point. There is no way that works. That doesn't work. Well, for the purposes of this book, I think, we can talk about that later on. We definitely. I think. I can't remember exactly, but
what do you think about that? Just give me a quick answer. What do you think about what I would call wasted canvas? There's a lot of negative space. There's a huge clock, right? The Big Bang happened, and there's millions and billions and all the way down. Then the clock's going around, and then almost at the strike of midnight, humans come along. At the very, very last second, this whole huge clock happened, billions of years, and then Monkey Man gets smart at the end. What happened before that? Not what happened before that, but why did that happen? Why is it so long?
There's a God who actually creates a human being. So there's an explanation for that. There's basically
science says it's actually in the trillions of years or the quadrillions of years. Would it change?
So I'm not sure exactly about the age of the universe, and that
nobody can be.
Yeah,
The fact that there's even a conversation about its certainty, like we know exactly 6.7 bit, whatever. It doesn't. These guys don't know anything. They just got really thick glasses, and everybody trusts them. The scientific establishment has lied to us.
So basically, so what are you telling us? Are you telling us to just give up because you depend on science? You drive a car that actually, was discovered by physics. So by doing physics, so you have a cell phone. We are talking right now because of science. So you can't say
two machines that work very, very
well. But yeah, so you have to give credit to science. So you can't just throw science away like that. Or you can't discredit the mind completely. Then you'll be saying we are all dumb, or we should just live our lives, just eat and go to sleep.
No, not at all. What I'm saying is that
then you have to give credit to scientists who have actually try to figure out how the universe came about. Who is even trying? I really don't call them crazy. Or I know there are some who are taking advantage of this whole enterprise of thinking and inventing things. I don't like, for example, like physicists who just. Well, it's not that I don't like, but I think that they are smart enough to know that actually what they're trying to theorize for example, like just saying that the universe created itself. That doesn't make sense. You can't say something like that. You can't say that the universe
that makes as much sense to me as anything else. That's on equal standing, I think, with the steady state theory, a created universe, all three.
Well, how? Because logically it doesn't make sense though. It goes against
all three don't make sense. All three are completely illogical. All three.
Like which one? Like, I don't understand when you say all
go
three.
Through them one at a time. Created universe with God.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you why. So we have this being that transcends time and space. Okay.
Right off the bat. So supernatural, outside of physics, outside of something.
Like he transcends everything. How can he be?
Objection,
Elijah?
Your Honor.
What's that?
Objection.
No, it doesn't.
The other theories don't even rely on a created being. The two other ones are actually more logical in that sense.
Which one?
A universe that was always here is more logical than the other two, I would think. A universe that always existed. The energy is dispersed throughout infinity. There's unbounded. That's actually a better way of saying it.
So if you using the universe that has always existed, that is more that is a way of trying to dodge the fact that actually the universe, like scientists like that because they don't have to explain where it came from.
I think it's the opposite. I think it's the opposite. Scientists are always endeavoring to do the opposite. They're trying to explain everything. They're like, where do we come from? This Big Bang Theory, all three of those, including the Big Bang Theory, are all just our new creation myths. We're just choosing the one that most people believe in. Well, the scientists said this is how it is. So I don't.
So you don't believe it. So I don't understand. Do you believe in science or you don't believe in science? Because you don't believe in science.
Absolutely believe in science.
So why?
The whole thing is
the
people. It's a ridiculous claim to say in 2 billion years the sun is going to expand to the point and just get either hot or cold. I forget exactly, but it's going to completely engulf the Earth and the inner planets and stuff like that. Could happen, right? But they're saying in a specific, they're always like 10 or 15 million years, and I don't like that arrogance. It's the same thing. The problem I had with the undeniable and the other words he's using to describe. And just in general, the tone of this chapter, I think it's the rest of the book too, but the tone of the chapter is just like calling people childish and people are holding on to the Big Bang. In the very first page, he goes, forcing everyone to grow up. Like, how are you going to have a conversation with somebody when you're just telling them, like, you're talking down to them at the beginning? And it appears in the weakest chapter of the whole book.
No, I think, so I still don't understand your position. I still don't understand your position because on one hand, you're saying you praise science, you like science, but on the other hand, and then you're destroying science. So I don't know.
You can't use science. It's impossible to use science to prove God. And the fact that he's trying to do that is
we're not proving God.
Futility.
We're not proving God here. We're not proving God here. God is independent in this. We are proving with the Big Bang. The Big Bang, the theory of the Big Bang does not prove God. The theory of the Big Bang proves that the universe started at a certain point. This is the work of a physicist, you know. So do you dispute that? And if you dispute that, why do you? Like, what's your reason for saying no?
The other two possibilities is probably even more.
So actually, so Einstein, when he came up with the theory of relativity, he wasn't thinking about God. He was actually trying. He's trying hard to make sure, even like when actually his math proved that actually the universe was expanding, and he knew that this was going to support the theist. Okay, that's when he came up with the cosmological constant to actually because he didn't want the universe that actually that was created by he didn't want like that.
He was forced to swallow it. The evidence was in his face, and everybody saw it but him and his ignorance.
That's why I like the other physicists that actually come after him. They actually welcomed the evidence, and he came later on. He came to actually regret, going against his findings. So I'm asking you: are you against science or you are for science? And if you are against the theory, or if you're against the work of the general relativity, so what are you for, or what theory do you put out there?
It's not that I don't believe in it. I just don't think they're absolutely certain of certain things. Science consensus, everything about science consensus. It doesn't matter consensus or not. It's not a democracy, right or wrong. And the funny thing is they're guessing. They're guessing with these chalkboards how the universe began. Well, because of certain observations. You're right. It is empirical to one certain extent, but you can argue from any point of view. Like the redshift, that is so weak. I mean, I'm not pretending to know a lot about it, but the explanation I've never got properly. Either it's not been explained properly or I just don't get it. But the fact that the redshift explains like how the universe is expanding in every single direction does not logically fit in my head. We're not at the center, right? We can't be at the center of the universe. Even this new Big Bang almost puts us at the center of it.
So
seemingly.
How can someone take you serious? How can someone take you serious? So just saying that, oh, you know what? I don't believe. I don't believe this. I just can't take it. Well, it's the same thing. What you're doing right now is the same. Do you remember this? Do you remember I can't remember his name, but this journalist who went around asking what is a woman?
Of course.
And then he got answers like, well, yeah, a woman is, if you
I
feel
can't define it.
like,
yeah,
there's
no way I'm doing that. There's no way.
No, it's the same thing you're doing.
I'm not coming up with a counterpoint because like I don't think that the Big Bang didn't happen.
Well, it's exactly what you're saying is like it's like this.
Saying that the Big Bang for sure happened because it for sure happened. It's a created universe. It's almost like they worked out it logically backwards. They had a creation myth. People have to believe that if it exists, it probably has an end, and if it has an end, it has a beginning. That's because we have this tiny little perspective. We're looking at this tiny little planet. We don't know shit. We don't know anything. I cannot believe how this book will present in one page this certainty. Oh, the Big Bang happened. For sure it happened. And they go 3 weeks earlier when they didn't believe in the Big Bang. Oh, science is bullshit. I can't take it. He only wants to bring up physics and only wants to bring up scientific theory.
Yeah, I want you to give me a good, like, if let's say you're talking to Einstein, if let's say you're talking to Albert Einstein, you're like, you know what, I don't like your theory. What would you tell me?
I'd be like, I totally agree with you. I think people have a misconception about you. I know you're at least an agnostic. You have an irreligiosity about you. They always tack these little quotes. No, but that's where that fear came from.
This is not about religion. No, this is not about religion. I want to push you more on how your take on science, because I'm still confused about how you treating
every observation he ever made was accurate, 100%. 100%.
Okay, so how? So okay,
Gravity
so
bends light. I agree.
So why are you rejecting the implications of his work then?
There's way crazier implications of his work than the Big Bang. Like tachyons are crazy. You can go back in time.
The
most boring part is the part that the religious people like.
Well, if you agree with the general theory of relativity, then you agree with the universe that has a beginning. Okay, so what do you put? Before Alan Sandage says here? How would you explain like the micro at the microseconds before the Big Bang happened? Well, how do you explain that? Because there was no physics there. This is the place where physics doesn't go. So how would you explain that?
In one moment you're saying the Big Bang had to happen, and in the other moment you're like, well, something had to happen before the Big Bang, and I'm saying it probably didn't happen, so nothing before it matters.
No.
And if it did happen, we can't know.
I'm focusing on the work of we're talking, like, for example, like you say that you agree all the works so far what we've read about, these are works, we've been reading about theories and proofs that were discovered by physicists and cosmologists, astronomers, right? All those people. And you say, do you agree with all of them, or you don't agree with all of them?
Just with their undemonstratable premises that they come up with, where they'll give you a bunch of numbers, crunch a bunch of numbers, and then say esoterically, the universe is a spiral and it's moving in this direction and it's this shape, and I can see past the furthest distances, and we can see. I'm sorry, you can't. You're not able to. You're a little person just like me. You have a way bigger brain and a lot more math in it, but you can't explain the universe. It's impossible. Now, I have no problem with that, but believing in God cannot be based in any way on physics. 0% on physics. No angel can dance on the head of a pin. It's impossible.
Physics can help you see that actually there is a mind behind everything we see. So, like physics, if you do physics, it can help you. Like if you have a problem of faith, because a lot of believing, having a belief in God, in many ways, you have to have faith, because there's a lot of things that are not explained, and they are meant to be that way. Because if you think about it, a being or a mind that actually came up, that created the universe, including you, there's no way you could figure out that being. If you figured it out, then it wouldn't be that smart to actually create you. So that's why you will nobody will ever fully understand actually that mind that birthed everything that we see. No one, even when you read the Bible clearly says that, my ways are not your ways. Like, he's God, and he's way. His ways, like we are his creation. So how could we figure him out? We can't figure him out. He's always superior, and that's why. So I agree when you say that we are very, very tiny, in comparison to the universe and what we see. In that regard, I agree with you. But where I disagree with you is when actually because we have a mind. Even when you read the Bible, the Bible emphasizes that we are very important creatures on this universe. The Bible emphasizes that we are the most lovable creatures, and we are created in the image of God. Now, we believe that God has a mind. He's like a human being, but a superhuman being, and we are just like another prototype, of God. So if he's way intelligent, we are like 40% intelligent, So we have some attributes that mind has, In that sense, we have to use our mind, because he gave us this mind to actually rule everything on this planet. That's why you see, mankind is able to go to the moon. They've done wonderful things. but definitely they are still minute when compared to, you know, trying to figure out like how everything works together. I think we will die always trying to figure out. That I agree with you, but I think that still we could make, God gave us a mind to actually know, to actually direct ourselves towards Him. We could think and make our way towards Him, realize that He is a God and He's the one actually who created everything. Well, that's not the topic here, but I think what the physicists are trying to do is they're trying to figure out, like, you know what's going on here, like, you know, how does this thing work? And I totally agree with them. I agree with them to some, not all of them, but, you know,
why not all of them?
You know, there are proofs that actually, there are theories that they came up with that makes a lot of sense, that are that are easy to connect with. You know, even if you I'm not a physicist, but, you know, I can say, well, yeah, that's, you know, that makes sense. You know. So
what
anyway.
I don't like is how the two are in my mind two very different. Like the human brain had these two like curiosities, you know, like where did I come from, and the kind of stuff that religion is concerned with. And then there's the other one with like, ow, that hurts. How am I going to build a house? Those are physical things, you know. And it's very strange when one borrows from the other, because it's completely inappropriate. Not in the way that it sounds, but it just doesn't make any sense. You can't prove supernatural events with physics. It's the antithesis of what physics is.
They will never. That I agree with you 100%. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, man. This
all right,
chapter.
so
That's
it got heated. It's the tone of this guy. Anyway, so next time we're going to be talking about the fine-tuned planets.
Yeah, man.
How life began here on our little mud ball.
I don't know if are you gonna like this one or not? Or you don't